Thank you.
I've been thinking about it for the whole segment, Vanessa. Thanks very much.
Okay.
And now here's Meredith.
Matt, thank you. And let's turn to the death of actor Heath Ledger. Finally, we know what killed him. WNBC's Jonathan Dienst has been following this story. Jonathan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Meredith. The New York City's medical examiner's office has released the toxicology report, and it can serve as an important warning for anyone about the dangers of mixing prescription medications. A long list of prescription drugs was found in Ledger's system, an apparent lethal combination of painkillers, anti-anxiety and sleeping pills, including generic forms of Valium, OxyContin, and Xanax. New York's medical examiner reports the official cause of death was, quote, an accident resulting from the abuse of prescription medications.
Taking all of these drugs in this combination at the same time, to me, seems inappropriate.
Medical experts say it appears for Ledger it was the mix of drugs that led to respiratory failure.
All of these categories of drugs can suppress the brain so much so that someone can stop breathing, and I think, unfortunately, that's what we've seen here.
Last month, at his New York apartment, his masseuse and a housekeeper found Ledger in bed, unresponsive. Police say no illegal narcotics were found at the scene, and none are listed in the medical examiner's report. But federal drug agents are now investigating whether any of the prescription drugs were illegally or improperly given to Ledger. Officials say the death of the actor highlights the growing danger of prescription drug abuse.
We've had about 6 million Americans who report abusing prescription drugs. A third of them are teenagers.
In Australia, distraught relatives expressed some relief that speculation about Ledger's death is now over. But the federal investigation into which doctors and pharmacies gave him so many different drugs and why is now underway. A spokesperson for the DEA says it's common for investigators to step in when so many drugs are involved in an overdose death. Meredith?
All right, Jonathan, thank you. We're going to bring in Dr. Julie Holland once again, doing double duty for us this morning. As a psychiatrist, I have to ask you, Jonathan mentioned that it seems to be rising, this use of medications, prescription medications, in these bizarre cocktails, so to speak, that can kill you.
Right. Prescription drug misuse and abuse is definitely on the rise.
So is it the case if you go to one doctor for one drug and then to another for another drug?
Or just getting them from your friends, or buying them on the street, or getting them from one doctor who's prescribing them serially. Oh, this doesn't work, we'll try another one. That doesn't work, we'll try another one.
So, you know, the hospital seems quite clear, the MA seems quite clear that this was accidental, or you like to use the word unintentional.
I thought it was interesting, but I think the bottom line is that they don't have evidence that there was lethal intent, so they're calling it an accident.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How do you know it isn't an overdose?
Well, you know, it's reckless. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you get drunk and you drive down the highway in an ice storm, you're going 100 miles an hour, you're probably going to die. Is that an accident? You know, it's clearly reckless to be mixing these medicines. But, you know, he may have done it serially over time. It's not that he necessarily took these took 5 or 10 pills of different all at once. You know, he could have taken the painkillers the day before, and then the anti-anxiety medicine, and then the sleeping medicine, and then the problem is also, I think, that he had a pneumonia or a lung infection. So it's almost like
a combination of things.
The perfect storm of, you know, he had diminished lung capacity, and he's lying face down, so there's friction on the pillow. So, and the Vicodin and the Percocet, they're going to decrease his respiratory drive. So his brain's not going to tell him to breathe, and because he's face down and because his lungs are infected, he just doesn't have the air that he needs to survive.
All right, Dr. Holland, thank you very much. Jonathan as well, thank you. And now let's take a look at today's weather forecast. And for